Welcome back to Strife's Talking Points. I'm going to try and cover this story real quick from MSNBC. This was actually on something yesterday. This is the West Wing under siege as Dems launch investigations. We have all kinds of investigations going on, and I've got a couple of tabs here which are going to highlight that, but just want to get right into the story real quick and go.
Sweeping investigation into possible abuse of power by the president. The committee is demanding documents for more than 80 people, entities, and agencies in and around the Trump orbit. Key people include the president's two adult sons, his son-in-law, and Alan Weisselberg, the chief financial officer at the Trump Organization, who, along with Don Jr., signed off on the check reimbursing Michael Cohen for paying off Stormy Daniels. Requests also went to the Trump Organization, Foundation, the Trump Campaign, Transition, Inaugural Committee, and to the White House, as well as to the FBI, the Justice Department, and General Services Committee, which holds the lease for the building that houses the Trump Hotel in Washington. The NRA also received a document request, as well as the National Enquirer's parent company, American Media, WikiLeaks, and Jared Kushner's family business. To ensure a swift response and no claim of executive privilege, committee chairman Jerry Nadler said the initial requests for documents are limited to those that already have been submitted to the special counsel, the Southern District of New York, or other congressional committees.
So what they're doing is basically they're launching an investigation into things already being investigated by other investigatory bodies. So it's an investigation of investigations about investigations. I would like to refer to this as what we can all call spinning our wheels. So I'm going to turn the stuff down here. It looks like it's getting too close to the yellow. But yeah, it looks to be a lot of spinning our wheels. So let's play a little more.
The chairman explained what sets his investigation apart.
Our job is very different from other law enforcement agencies. The special prosecutor has a specific mandate to investigate only the Russian interference with the election and possible collusion by the Trump administration or anybody else.
So special counsel is dealing with Russia, no other foreign actors, just Russia.
With that interference with the election, and only to look at crimes. The Southern
Now, crimes are a problem. If it's not a crime, it's not really a problem. And if it is a problem, but it's not a crime, maybe we should make a law to make it where it is a crime.
District of New York also only looks at crimes. We have to look at a much broader question. We have to look at, our job is to protect the rule of law.
If it's not against the law, it's not a crime. If it's against the law, then it is a crime. The rule of law is how you decide what is and isn't a crime. So if it's not a crime, it's not against the rule of law. If it is a crime, it is against the rule of law.
In this country. And that means we have to look at the three major threats to the rule of law that we have seen, and that is corruption, personal enrichment, and
corruption, personal enrichment, which is blatant in our political class.
Violation of the Emoluments Clause.
Violation of Emoluments Clause. You hear that all the time. That is basically, they're trying to say because Trump owns property and he makes money from them that it's illegal. The Emoluments Clause was initially set up so that the Founding Fathers and that whole generation and for generations there wouldn't be knighted, wouldn't be granted territory by the kings and queens of Europe to turn on America. Yeah. Most of the Founding Fathers ran businesses. They were lawyers. They traded. They ran farms. This was always the way it was done, and that law was written specifically so that they couldn't take foreign money directly to turn on the U.S., not so that they couldn't trade or sell products to them or receive money from doing business. It's just been a trend for the last, I believe, 30 or 40 years, 30 years or so that the president has had to divest their money. However, everyone in the U.S., especially most of Congress, has some type of stocks and bonds, and we keep invading countries for oil and gas and resources and all this stuff, which we shouldn't be doing. And those are also those are violations of humanity, but not Emoluments Clause.
It means abuse of power, attacks on the press, attacks on the...
Attacks on the press. If you watch the news and you look at any story, you can pick apart a news story from most major media in just a few moments because it's all just narrative telling. These are stories. Right here, Chris Christie about Trump, anti-corruption bill. They're focusing more or less on Trump. Any celebrating, we can't, I don't know what that is. Trump, he's everywhere. This channel especially cannot stop talking about Trump. They need there to be something. This is outrage media. Vox, BuzzFeed, lots of major news organizations are falling apart because outrage media is failing. People understand these are false stories. These are lies. This is not true. But they're going to tell you it is because Trump called it out. We already knew it was existing, and now it's become a trend where people are researching stories.
The judiciary, attacks on law enforcement agencies, and...
attacks on law enforcement agencies. He was saying he didn't believe it. That's an attack. He said, no, it's not true. That's not an attack. He hasn't actually shut down investigations. He just says he doesn't believe them and he thinks they're bad.
Obstruction of justice.
Firing Comey. That's not obstruction of justice. If it is, it's under investigation through Robert Mueller's investigation. Now, clip from there, that's 2 minutes in. They're going to switch over. All right, so a lot of stuff to go through right there. So I'm just going to kind of run through. This is Wired, and this is Axios. These are more left-leaning, leftist. I don't know. They're over there on the other side. Not, I wouldn't say the side for me, but they're further over to the leftist point of views. Everything Trump is bad. Everything socialist is good. Anyway, Russian government election attack. So they don't cover anything about the $400+ million that foreign governments put into our election every year. They only focus on a few Russian hackers and $5 million in money and ads spent in the U.S. Basically not focused on Trump or anything else. These were pro-Black Lives Matter, pro-police, pro-Bernie, pro-Trump, pro-Hillary, pro-everybody, and against everyone at the same time. 12 Russian military officers. Some people have been indicted. One guy in California. WikiLeaks. It's already pretty well done that Roger Stone is under investigation right now for this. However, the WikiLeaks stuff they initially started this on was information publicly known that they tweeted about after the fact, where the story was falsified so that it made it look like it happened before. It didn't. Middle Eastern influence. Of course, Russia investigation again. Our government funded rebel groups in Syria all over the Middle East to try and cause more pro-U.S. governments. However, didn't work. So we got ISIS. Russia investigation, UAE, Saudi, Israel. These are all, they're tying these into Jared Kushner and Trump. Jared Kushner, a Jewish man, is being hunted by the U.S. media for any wrongdoings whatsoever. Paul Manafort, all his stuff happened before Trump was elected, and most of these things are from Ukrainian. So Russian intelligence must be involved. Well, Russia invaded Ukraine and took half the country. We didn't do anything about it. Trump Tower, Cohen lied about this, any and all actions related to it. It would have been a big hotel. Don't know if you know this, Trump hotels are all over the world. Yeah, doesn't own them, manages some of them. I think they're in Mexico. There's some in South America. I know there's one in South Korea. Yeah, the one in Russia, big problem. All the rest, not a big problem. Campaign contacts. This is where you're going to see Papadopoulos come into play. Of the meeting with the lawyer, of which most of this has gone away. Obstruction of justice. Robert Mueller's investigation and firing of James Comey, who actually broke news towards the end of election that they had found information on Hillary, but they weren't going to investigate it. It was the most up and down thing. And James Comey broke with all FBI traditions to do this. Go look up the stories from the time. He was basically interfering with an election in just the weirdest ways. Also, the tarmac meeting between Bill Clinton and, at the time, his boss. It was crazy. U.S. Southern District of New York is investigating inauguration fraud. Oh my God, $107 million spent on a inauguration committee, and 50,000 can be tracked to Ukrainian businessmen through Paul Manafort's people. 50,000 of 107 million. Sounds like a lot of money, but it's really, the 107 million is a lot of money. The 50,000 is not. And that's, what does this have to do with anything? Super PACs. I'm completely against super PACs. I do not believe in unlimited money in U.S. politics. It should be either publicly funded or it should be funded by donations from the public. Not over a few $1,000, because no real person can do that. Super PAC should go away. No, shouldn't happen. Should be banned, and that would also free up lots of media time. Foreign lobbying. Again, hundreds of millions of dollars are spent in the U.S. every year. However, because they can prove a few came from Russia, that this is now bad. Again, they're focusing in on the Ukraine, not Israel, not Saudis, not South Korea, not Brazil, not Germany, no one. Just because Russia. Again, NRA, targeting campaigns. If you track this down, it's really not a lot to it, except they can put some of the money towards Russia. Investigation U.S. Attorney Eastern District of New York, Turkish influence. Tax clause, the Trump Foundation, emoluments lawsuits, which they're going to the Saudis, who put hundreds of millions of dollars into U.S. elections every year, hundreds of millions of dollars into Twitter and into U.S. tech companies so that they can control what's being said or have influence over it in one way or another. Watch the Jack Dorsey, Joe Rogan, Tim Pool interview. It is crazy to watch that. And then, yeah, this is it. Here's the big picture. Everyone caught up in the Trump investigation. Convicted Paul Manafort. Convicted of stuff he did before. Michael Flynn, stuff he did before. Michael Cohen lying to Congress, then went back to Congress, told some more stuff, probably lies. And Manafort. Papadopoulos was under investigation, I believe, before he even came to the Trump stuff. He was just an aide there, was already under investigation, and they just had him do stuff to try and drag more people down, which, that's fine. This guy from California, he sounds like he got caught up in identity theft and fraud. A few more Russians. This, I believe, is the lawyer. You've seen pictures of her, and then the current Roger Stone stuff. So that, which is all under investigation, is now going to be another probe, another investigation. Great. I'm glad our government can waste so much time investigating things that have already been investigated, that are already currently and still under investigation. But that's what they're going to do with their time. So, thank you, government, for not working, not even trying. This guy here, yeah, let's just spin our wheels and spend millions of dollars to find out what other people are already finding out. Thank you, and hope you have a great day.